Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we are diving deep into a book that has been a relationship giant for decades. John Gray's Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. We're going to break down its core ideas and see if these lessons on, well, interplanetary communication still ring true today.
I mean, come on, we've all been there, right? You say one thing, your partner hears something completely different, and suddenly you're in an argument you didn't even see coming. Well, that exact feeling, that's the launch pad for this entire book.
And this, right here, is the book's huge central metaphor. The big idea from John Gray is that man and women are just so fundamentally different, it's like they're from two separate planets. But, the story goes, when we all got here to Earth, we got this weird selective amnesia and totally forgot our origins. And he argues that is the root of so many of our relationship problems. We expect our partners to think, feel, and act just like us, and we get super frustrated when they don't.
Okay, so to really get to the heart of all this conflict, the book asks us to go way, way back to the beginning, to a simple little origin story that pretty much sets the stage for everything else.
It's really a classic love story, right? The Martians see the Venusians, they're completely smitten, and they literally cross the entire cosmos just to be with them. And on Venus, things were great. They celebrated their differences, they learned from each other, but then they came to Earth, and that crucial memory of being different got wiped clean. They started expecting each other to play by the same planetary rules, and that's when the trouble really began. All right, let's blast off and take our first trip to another planet. First stop, Mars. According to Gray, if you really want to understand the Martian mindset, you've got to understand what they value more than anything else. So on Mars, it's all about results. I mean, just look at this list. Power, competency, achievement. The idea here is that a Martian's self-worth is directly tied to his ability to get things done and solve problems. And that last one, autonomy, it isn't about pushing people away. In the book, it's presented as the ultimate proof of competence, the ability to handle things on your own.
And this way of thinking leads us to one of the book's most famous, and let's be real, most talked about concepts, the cave. When a Martian gets stressed out, his gut instinct isn't to talk it out, it's to pull back. To go into this metaphorical cave where he can focus, process things, and come up with a solution all by himself. And this is key. For him, this isn't a rejection of his partner at all. It's actually how he proves his worth.
Okay, time to hop in our spaceship and zip across the solar system over to Venus. The book suggests that the values here are fundamentally different, which, as you're about to see, leads to a completely opposite way of dealing with stress.
See? On Venus, identity isn't built on what you accomplish by yourself, but on how you connect with others. Venusians value communication, sharing, and love above all else. Their sense of who they are is defined by their feelings and the strength of their relationships. Fulfillment comes from relating to others.
So when a Venusian is stressed, her instinct is the exact opposite of a Martian's. She doesn't want to retreat, she wants to connect. The number one way to find relief is to talk about the problem. And it's not really about finding an instant solution, it's about being heard, being understood, and feeling like you're not going through it alone.
So you've got one group that retreats to solve problems and another that reaches out to share feelings. What happens when they land on Earth, totally forget where they came from, and try to build a life together? Well, yeah, worlds collide.
This slide just lays it out so perfectly, doesn't it? Look at the two columns. On the left, the Martian focus is all about action, results, fixing things. On the right, the Venusian focus is about feelings, empathy, connecting. And here's the really tragic part. According to Gray, a lot of the time, both partners are genuinely trying to show love, but because their languages are so different, their best intentions can completely miss the mark.
And this right here, this is the classic textbook scenario. She comes home totally overwhelmed and just needs to vent and share her feelings. He, being a Martian, hears a list of problems, and his Mr. Fix-It brain just kicks into overdrive. He starts offering solutions, because in his world, that's how you show you care. But she doesn't want solutions, she wants empathy. So when she says, "You are not listening," what he hears is, "Your solution stinks, you have failed." He tried to be the hero and got shot down. Now they're both hurt, and neither one really knows why.
So is it a lost cause? How do we fix this? Well, the book's big answer isn't to try and change who you are. It's about becoming, well, bilingual. It's about learning to understand your partner's native language, and maybe more importantly, learning how to translate your own needs into a language they can actually understand.
Okay, one really powerful tool the book gives us is this thing called the love letter technique.
Now, right off the bat, I have to say this is a private writing exercise, not something you're supposed to actually send. The idea is to write your way through these 5 emotional stages you see here: anger, then sadness, fear, regret, and you always end with love. The process helps you work through all that difficult stuff on your own, so you can communicate from a place of understanding instead of just reacting in the heat of the moment.
The book's advice for getting support from a Martian is super practical. Learn how to ask in a way they can easily process. That means no hints, no complaining, just direct, brief requests. And, as we're about to see, the exact words you choose can make a huge difference.
The book uses this absolutely brilliant analogy to nail this point home. Think about a marriage proposal. If someone asks, "Could you marry me?" It's a weird question, right? It asks about their ability. It sounds insecure. But "would you marry me?" Now that's a request for a decision. It's confident, it's powerful. The same logic applies to smaller things. Could you take out the trash? Questions if he's capable. Would you take out the trash? Gives him a chance to step up and be the hero.
Now hang on, this is a really important point that the author himself makes, and you've got to hear it to understand this book today. These are broad generalizations. They are not strict rules carved in stone. They're meant to highlight common patterns. So if you're listening and thinking, hey, that's reversed in my relationship, or that doesn't apply to us at all, Gray's message is simple. Everything is all right. The goal, he says, isn't to shove people into boxes, but to understand different dynamics no matter who's playing which role.
And that really brings us to the big question, doesn't it? There is no doubt these ideas have connected with millions of people, giving them a kind of simple map to navigate some really complex stuff. But, as our understanding of gender and relationships keeps growing and changing, we have to ask, is this a timeless guide for interplanetary communication? Or is it a helpful but maybe ultimately dated story from another time? That is a great question to think about.